Jai Shri Ram. For every young person who is likely to face an interview, these are some questions you must start preparing. Tell me about yourself. That's what they'll ask you, even in IELTS, I think, and TOEFL too. So please prepare properly. Rehearse it 100 times so that when they ask you, you should sound like you're spontaneous. You should sound like you're spontaneous, extempore. What are your goals, short term and long term? Think about it. Most people don't think about this thing. Please do some serious thinking. What do you like doing the most? Think about it, mull about it, write down, talk to yourself, stand in front of a mirror and rehearse the answers. Consult your dad, mom, your parents, eh? Your brother, sister, and anybody who's a good friend who can actually give you useful feedback about yourself. Remember, we all have so many blind spots. A blind spot is something about us which others know but we ourselves don't know. So it's always necessary to take feedback. Unfortunately, many people get very defensive and angry and upset when they get feedback. And as a result, the others stop giving them feedback. Remember, feedback is the breakfast of champions. Vince Lombardi quote. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. If you want to be a champion in your life, welcome feedback all the time. Only then you can correct. Unfortunately, we humans, most of us have not evolved enough to accept criticism gracefully. Let people criticize. Let them criticize. If it is true, well, we can learn. If it is not true, ignore it. I think that's the right attitude. Okay. So, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Have you really sat down somewhere to write out what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are? Huh? Please do that. Opportunity and threat, SWOT analysis. Anyway, what are your strengths? At least 10 you should be ready with. And what are your weaknesses? And the weaknesses should be something like this: I am a workaholic. Well, that actually is a concealed compliment you're giving yourself. Uh, I next one can be, I try to please everyone. Again, every company would like such a person who's a team player. Well, though the truth is we can't please everyone, presenting that as a weakness is a smart thing to do because that is a concealed virtue, that is a concealed strength. Okay, so, and I'm a perfectionist. Well, in the sense that I worry about whether I'm really doing very well, and that's the reason I need constant feedback. These are some weaknesses which you can propose as these are my weaknesses. So I'm very conscious about how I'm doing. Therefore, I might, sometimes ask people or harass them for feedback. And most people think that this is a request for compliments, but that's not the case. Anyway, that's my weakness. So if you can think of some more, please do. Next, how did you learn of our company? That's what they'll ask you. Think up the best answer. Do some research. Many young people don't do any research. You don't work on your vocabulary. This is really sad. Okay. What do you know about our company? What do you want to work? Why do you want to work for the company? This is a very important question. Tell me about your previous job experience. Say something positive, what you have learned. And also, obviously, give it a balanced, report that the company probably does not give you the scope for progress and promotion and all that. Why did you leave your previous job? Why should we hire you? Why are you looking for another position? What have been your major achievements? This is again something very important. Please do think a lot. uh, Come up with something, you see. Yeah, major achievement does not necessarily mean that you have brought 10 crore profit to the company. There are so many psychological skills that we all learn and we become better persons. That can also be a major achievement. So think freely. Don't think that major achievement has to be a big sales turnover. Not necessary. Describe your ideal working environment. Well, that should be a challenging, enriched environment which helps us develop into better personalities. There should be facilities for research and advancement and career counseling and mentorship and also extracurricular activities so that a person can progress and develop a very well rounded personality. So, something like that. And then what next? What type of management style do you work best with? Well, I work well with any style. I have no problem. You're actually telling them that you are highly adaptable, huh? And highly adaptable. That's what companies want. So people who are very intelligent are more adaptable. So that's a good thing to say. Next, what would your current manager say about you? Well, that is, you can always say something nice, that you are a hardworking person, uh, and you can be, you are very dependable, and blah blah blah. I leave it to you. In your most recent position, what have been your most significant accomplishments? What motivates you in the work environment? What frustrates you in the work environment? Think carefully about this. What frustrates me? Well, lack of team spirit. Team spirit does not exist because there has not been any proper leadership. So, uh, uh, the theory on team development and team spirit goes something like this: forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning. So do some research. Forming, storming, norming. Storming is brainstorming, and you norm the team. In fact, a lot of informal activities like going to picnics and sharing games and playing shuttle and all these things will create team spirit. People should get to know each other very well. They should go through emotional intelligence programs, emotional intelligence, EQ, emotional quotient workshops. If you want me to come down, please invite me. I'll do a small workshop for an hour and a half, and that will make a big difference because I've done this for many companies, and I was told that it made a very significant difference. You see, if people are simply together, that's not a team, it's only a mob. So what is a frustrating what is that question? What frustrates you in the work environment? Lack of team spirit, lack of esprit de corps. Esprit de corps is the right word. So that's the most important thing. When that is not there, everything else is futile. Even if you have the best equipment, the best machinery and stuff and all that, leadership is very important. The leadership, and mainly if the leadership is good and positive and democratic and future oriented and proactive leadership, then you will have esprit de corps, morale. The morale of the team will be very high. In fact, morale can be defined as the faith in the man at the top. If you have absolute faith in the man at the top, your morale will be very high. You see, Modi ji, you see, we trust him, I worship him. So whatever decision he takes, of course he could take some bad decisions too. After all, that's part of the game. Nobody is born perfect to be able to take perfect decisions all the time. Morale will be very high. People who worked and fought for Shivaji, their morale was very high. Morale is defined as faith in the man at the top. So if you don't have the right kind of leader, then anything else will fail. Nothing will work. Leadership is everything. Okay. What would you bring to this situation? Well, again, list out your strengths. How would you describe your own personality? Spend some time. Please spend some time writing out all about yourself. And then, what are some of your outside activities and interests? Yeah, this is again important. What are your strengths? I think that was repeated. What areas have you identified that you would like to improve on, and what have you done about them? Have you read that Stephen R. Covey's Time Management Matrix? Stephen R. Covey's Time Management Matrix. Go to Google and type out. See, he creates a grid. Four quadrants are there. Urgent, not urgent. Important, not important. The urgent and important are tasks which we have to do. Like, for example, I am a teacher, I have to go to the class. But more important, or the quality of the performance in the first quadrant actually depends on the important but not urgent. See, the important but not urgent. Since it's not urgent, we tend to postpone. For example, I do a lot of reading. If I'm taking a GRE class, I do a lot of reading. I have a huge library of books for GRE. Yeah? And I keep honing my vocabulary skills, my teaching skills, so that I perform better in the class. And all these activities can be postponed actually because they are not urgent, but they are very important. See, most people neglect this area. Tasks which are not urgent but very important. Please don't do that. So in your free time, focus on learning things which help you perform better in quadrant 1. Then the next two quadrants are not urgent, not important. Most people waste their life focusing on these things. You should actually delegate these, in fact, eliminate them. There is another quadrant of urgent but not important. This should be delegated. Urgent but not important. Attending calls. Actually, you should delegate everything that somebody else can do. For example, my GRE class. Nobody can do a GRE class, verbal class like I do. I might sound arrogant, but that's all right. I consider myself a GRE verbal sevak. Sevak, I'm here to serve you. When Modi ji, when he became the Prime Minister for the first time in 2014, he said, मैं प्रधान सेवक, मैं प्रधान मंत्री नहीं, मैं प्रधान सेवक हूँ. That day I tore up my old business card which said I am the CEO and reprinted my business card. Even now my business card is GRE verbal sevak. That's important. So once I changed that, I add the tag sevak, my attitude changed. So be a sevak, and so be ever ready to serve. I forgot what I started this with. I can't stop this because there's no function here for stopping. Anyway, now what next? Delegate. All those things which can be done by somebody else have to be delegated. So I use all my time only to focus on those activities which improve my performance in quadrant 1 and delegate everything else. Well, you should try, because unfortunately when you delegate work, people screw it up. People are here to really frustrate us, but you'll have to tolerate them. That's how they are. Anyway, what next? What are your career goals? Have you really thought about this? What level of salary are you seeking? Well, this question, I normally tell the interviewer, well, I'm sure you have some idea of what this job description deserves to be paid. So I leave it to you. Because let me tell you, don't bargain too much about salaries, because if you become indispensable, the company has to promote you, and if they don't promote you, somebody else will take you in, somebody else will want you. There are so many headhunters all over the world. If you are really indispensable, then if nobody is taking you, then you will make yourself the boss. So try to become indispensable. Try to become as useful and as indispensable as possible. Well, remember, nobody is indispensable anyway. Then finally, typical questions you may ask. What is the reason for the vacancy? You must ask. What are the key performance measures for this job? What are the company's growth plans? What are the company's latest sales and profit results? Who are the company's major competitors and what are the company's competitive strengths? Where does the company see itself going in the next 3 to 5 years? Where can this job lead to if I'm a top performer? What education and training programs does the company have? Do not hesitate to ask these questions. Keep practicing. Jai Shri Ram.